Good afternoon, Mr. Zomlot.
Good afternoon.
I outlined there some of the statistics on the number of meals being given out. What is the picture that you are picking up on the ground? What is really going on?
Very cruel, extremely illegal, immoral. And I believe the scenes and the images and the follow-up to all that is happening in Gaza is going to come back and haunt all of us. This is a straightforward use, an extension of the use of food and starvation as a weapon of war, the weaponization of humanitarian aid. Israel is asking people who are starved already because of a 3-month blockade to walk miles. And can you imagine that with me? Close your eyes for a second. And when they get to these so-called distribution centers, they are shot at and killed, not only by dozens, but now you're talking about hundreds. And this has been a pattern for a long time now, since last year. Remember the flour massacre in the middle of Gaza. And this whole thing is not about international aid. Aid is there. It is about the distribution of aid, and there are international mechanisms. There is the United Nations. There is heavy, very well historic established presence by the UN there. They have been very effectively distributing
And why
aid.
is this, sorry to interrupt, and why therefore is this new US-Israeli-backed organization not working? What needs to change? Because
Israel wants to use food and starvation as a tool of control. It's as simple as that. And because the world is failing to put Israel beneath the law, not above the law. Because Israel has been the exception to every rule for all these years. It's there to see. It is a death trap, Ben, what Israel is doing, using aid. Death trap. Hundreds have been killed so far. It is an extension of this genocidal aggression, of the very idea of removing people from their homes and homeland in Gaza. It is exactly in perfect line with the Netanyahu government policy. This is going to dent all of us and taint all of us, I'll tell you that.
We've seen some Palestinians campaigning against Hamas in Gaza recently. What do you make of that?
Well, Hamas or not Hamas, Israel as an occupying power has obligations and responsibilities as per international law. One of these responsibilities is to protect the civilians under the military occupation. And I need not to give you the numbers of how many they slaughtered over the last almost 2 years, primarily women and children. And they have the responsibility also to provide main services to the civilian population under the military occupation. And I don't need not to prove to you the dire humanitarian situation for, by the way, not just since the October 7th, but for 17 years before that, Gaza was put under blockade. And also international law is very clear about the responsibility of third parties, including the UK, at a time when the International Court of Justice has already a year and 4 months ago, in January last year,
and we've seen, sorry to interrupt, we've seen the sanctions from the UK government today. What do you make of that? They've also reiterated that Hamas must have no role in the future governance of Israel. Do you think this is leverage and action that could make a difference?
I'll answer that question, but let me finish my thought about the responsibility of the UK and third parties to prevent genocide. And the responsibility is there by the use of sanctions, arms embargo, accountability as per the ICC arrest warrant against Netanyahu and Israeli officials, and of course the recognition of the state of Palestine immediately. Now, back to the sanctions on Ben Gvir and Smotrich, it is a significant step in the right direction, but long overdue. It has waited for a long time, and it must be accompanied by, not a substitute to the full arms embargo, to full sanctions on the entire ecosystem of the illegalities in the West Bank and Gaza, including Jerusalem, of course. And
what does that mean, full sanctions?
Full sanctions, it means that the UK and the rest of the international community must sanction all illegal activities and the state that sponsors these illegal activities, including the illegal settlement expansion and the illegal settlers, the violence of the settlers. And those people are not functioning in a vacuum. They have a state that provides them with the protection and what have you. It is not just the Ben Gvir and Smotrich who are the supremacists, the racists, the warmongers, the ones who are publicly calling for the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, but it is also the Prime Minister of Israel himself, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the entire system needs to be brought to international compliance via sanctions.
But at the moment, the situation in Gaza grinds on miserably for people who are there. We've seen the action from the UK and other governments today, the reaction and response from Israel. In terms of the conditions in Gaza on the ground, do you have any grounds for optimism that things could change in the near future?
I am optimistic because of the movement in the region. The mediators are working around the clock. I just came from the parliament hearing some of the mediation efforts by Qatar and Egypt, efforts coordinated with the US. I am optimistic because of the rest of the world wants to go in a different direction. There is a conference in the UN next week, the Saudi-French conference, where the rest of the world, including the UK, will be there. But there is one country missing in this whole equation, which is Israel. They are adamant on their path of just mass murder, mass destruction, negation of the other, oppression of the other, the use of food against children. This is the worst situation for a country that wants to exist in the Middle East, wants to normalize relationship in the region, and wants to be a normal country in the international system. It has become a pariah state, Ben.
Thank you for joining us.